everyone, welcome back for part 7. So we are starting on page 148, and we are starting at line 1151. So that would be at the bottom of page 148. So if you can turn to that, that would be great, and we can get started. So, what's happened is that Cassandra has been invited into the palace. She doesn't really want to go because she doesn't necessarily want to be a slave, which, you know, I'd say that's fair, wouldn't you? I wouldn't particularly want to be a slave, particularly to people who had just murdered my entire family and friends and burned down my city. I wouldn't want to be enslaved by them. So Clytemnestra kind of invites her and says, hey, why don't you come in and join our celebrations? We're celebrating the fact that we killed all your family and friends. And Cassandra doesn't see that as like a super great invite and doesn't take her up on that. But mainly she's kind of like in shock and she's scared and overwhelmed with the whole situation, which, you know, I'd say again, fair enough. She doesn't want to come in. Clytemnestra gets fed up and is like, stuff you then. And so she goes back inside, and so she's standing out there with the chorus and the leader. She becomes kind of overwhelmed with her visions, because remember, she has she has the power of seeing into the future but also into the past, but the curse is that no one actually believes her. Great. So she basically just seems like a crazy person to everyone. That's where poor old Cassandra's at, and she's kind of like talking to the chorus and the leader, and they're kind of starting to believe her. They're trying to believe her, but remember, the curse is that no one is to ever believe her. So, there's that. Anyway, so we're at Cassandra, and Cassandra's kind of wigging out a bit, and she's having this vision that she realizes that when she goes inside that house, someone's going to try and kill her, and succeed. Someone is going to kill her. She also knows that it's going to be Clytemnestra, and Clytemnestra and Agamemnon are both going to die. And so she's kind of wigging out about it, which, you know, probably fair. And so the leader is responding to this, and Cassandra has said, you know, the knife waits for me, you know, they're going to kill me, and you know, they're going to murder me, and the leader is responding to this, and the leader says, why? What god hurls you on, stroke on stroke, to the long dying fall? Why the horror clashing through your music, terror struck to song? Why the anguish, the wild dance? Where do your words of God and grief begin? So the leader's kind of like asking, like, how do you know all of this? Like, how do you know that this is what's going to happen to you? Where does all this come from? And so we're going to start kind of hearing her story of how she kind of got into this mess. Not so much the mess of her death, but the mess of her talent or her gift. So Cassandra says, "Aye, the wedding of Paris, death to the loved ones. Ah, Scamander, you nursed my father. Once at your banks I nursed and grew, and now at the banks of the Acheron, the stream that carries sorrow, it seems I'll chant my prophecies too soon." So she's kind of talking about, like, you know, my whole life, you know, has revolved around the rivers. You know, at the banks of the river Scamander, she grew and you know, became a woman, and now, you know, at the banks of the Acheron, she will die. And the leader and the chorus is still kind of trying to work out what she's talking about, because, you know, Clytemnestra, Cassandra is kind of just like thinking aloud, She's kind of responding to the chorus, but she's so overwhelmed with what's happening to her that she's kind of just like thinking aloud. And so the leader and the chorus say, "What are you saying? Wait, it's clear. A child could see the truth. It wounds within. Like a bloody fang it tears. I hear your destiny, breaking sobs and cries that stab the ears." So the leader and the chorus are starting to believe her, and they kind of go, "Oh, wait, I can work out what you're talking about now. I kind of get it. I can hear what you're saying about your own destiny. That it's horrible, that it's breaking sobs, cries that stab the ears." And so Cassandra responds and she says, "Oh, the grief of the city ripped into oblivion." The city is obviously Troy. So the grief of Troy, that was ripped to oblivion because, the men of Argos, the soldiers of Argos destroyed it. "The victims, the flocks that my father burned at the wall, rich herds in flames, no cure for the doomed that took the city after her all. And I, her last ember, I go down with her." So she's mourning the loss of her city and kind of saying, it was destroyed and ruined, and she is the last ember of that city, and she will go down with it. That she is the last ember of that fire of Troy, and now she too is going to be snuffed out. "You cannot stop. Your song goes on. Some spirit drops from heights and treads you down, and the brutal strain grows. Your death throes come, and I cannot see the end. Then off with the veils that hide the fresh young bride. We will see the truth. Flare up once more, my oracle, clear and sharp as the wind that blows towards the rising sun. I can feel a deep swell now, gathering head to break at last and bring the dawn of grief." Okay, so she's kind of going, right, these are my last moments. Like, let's see it. Let my oracle, the gift, the talent inside her, let it flare and let me see everything now. If this is how it's going to go, I want to know. She says, "No more riddles." She's talking to the chorus. "No more riddles. I will teach you. Come, bear witness. Run and hunt with me. We trail the old barbaric works of slaughter." So she's kind of wanting to now prove, her gift to the chorus. And she says, I'm going to look around and I'll tell you what I can see. This is what I see. This is what my gift gives to me, that I see all these horrible things. She says, "Look, these roofs, look up. There is a dancing troupe that never leaves." So she sees like a bunch of dancers up the top on the roof, that, are kind of always haunting the palace. "And they have their harmony, but it is harsh. Their words are harsh. They drink beyond the limit. Flushed on the blood of men, their spirit grows, and none can take away their revel breeding in their veins. The Furies, they cling to the house for life. They sing of the frenzy that began it all. Strain on rising strain, showering curses on the man who tramples on his brother's bed. There. Have I hit the mark or not? Am I a fraud, a fortune teller, babbling lies from door to door? Swear how well I know these ancient crimes that live within this house." So she's kind of telling stories that, that the chorus would know are true, and saying, "See, I know, don't I? I know, I can see these things. You can see that I know what's happened in this city before." And so the leader kind of realizes that what she's saying is true, that even though they find it hard to believe her, that actually she does see the past and she does see the future. And he says, "And if I did, would an oath bind the wounds and heal us? But you amaze me. Bred across the sea, your language strange, and still you sense the truth as if you had been there." So he realizes that, she can see the past and she can see the future. But he also says, would an oath bind the wounds and heal us? Meaning like, you know, yeah, you can see the past and yeah, you can see the future, but like, does it make any difference? Like, really? Like, it's still going to happen. So again, we're talking about our lovely word, fate. So again, you could write a little fate there. That they kind of believe that even if you did know your past and did know your future, you're still not going to be able to change it. Like, it is what it is. So yeah. It's a concept that we find hard to understand, but it was very common, a very common belief those days. It was, you know, almost like how we just believe that, you know, we make our own fate. The fact that we kind of believe that is so kind of commonplace and not questioned. They kind of believed the opposite. And in that same kind of like, well, that's just the way the world is. You know, the sky is blue, the grass is green. We make decisions and we have consequences. Whereas, yeah, in those days, fate was considered something, yeah, just as tangible, I guess, is the word. Okay. Cassandra's now going to tell us a little bit about how she got these powers. She says, Apollo the prophet introduced me to his gift. A god moved with love. As in, did he give it to you because he was in love with you? And she says, I was ashamed to tell this once, but now, as in like she's got nothing left to lose, she may as well tell you. We spoil ourselves with scruple, long as things go well. He came like a wrestler, magnificent. This is Cassandra explaining what happened with her and Apollo. Apollo is a god, by the by. He came like a wrestler, magnificent, took me down and breathed fire through me, and you bore him a child? I yielded, and then at the climax I recoiled. I deceived Apollo. But the gods' skills, they deceived you even then? So Cassandra's saying that basically a god came down and tried to seduce her, and she, you know, promised that, you know, she would have sex and have a baby with him, but at the last moment she changed her mind. But you know, because of that, she had already kind of inherited the gift of seeing the past and seeing the future. And so she almost kind of like tricked him to steal that power. But yeah, even I'm going from Cassandra. Even then, I told my people all the grief to come. So she told people like the things that she could see. And Apollo's anger never touched you? Is that possible? As in, you were never punished by Apollo for doing this? And Cassandra said, once I had betrayed him, I could never have been believed. I could never be believed. So that's worth underlining. So that's the reason, sorry, I've just got something popping up. There we go. That's the reason that no one believes her, because she, you know, stole this gift. She didn't earn it and from Apollo, and so Apollo has kind of changed it so that she kind of doesn't see it as a gift. She sees it as like a punishment, because no one will ever believe anything she says anyway. The leader says, "We believe you." So at the end of her life, after having this long life with this gift where no one believes her, now at this moment where she's going to die, someone finally believes her. Your vision seems so true. Cassandra says, the pain, the terror, the birth pang of the seer who tells the truth. It whirls me. Oh, the storms come again, the crashing chords. As in she's so overwhelmed with, you know, like the torture and the terror and the things that she has to witness all the time that no one else sees. That it's so painful for her. That this gift has really become a curse for her. And now she's having more visions, and she says, look, you see them nestling at the threshold, young, in their darkness, like a dream, like children really, yes, and their loved ones brought them down. They fill their hands with their own flesh and serving it like food, holding out their entrails. Now it's clear. I can see the armfuls of compassion, see the Father reach to taste. So much suffering. I tell you, someone plots revenge. A lion who lacks a lion's heart. He is sprawled at home in the royal lair and set a trap for the Lord on his return. My Lord, I must wear his yoke. I am a slave. The Lord of the men of war, he obliterated Troy. He is so blind, so lost that the detestable hellhound who pricks her ears and fawns and her tongue draws out her glittering words of welcome. No, he cannot see the stroke that fury's hiding, stealth and murder. What outrage! The woman kills the man. What to call that? Monster of Greece, and bring my quarry down? Viper coiling back and forth. Some sea witch? Scylla crouched in her rocky nest? Nightmare of sailors? Raging mother of death, storming deathless war against the one she loves. And how she howled in triumph, boundless rage, and just the tide of a battle broke her way. She seemed to rejoice that he is safe from home, saved for her. Believe me if you will. What will it matter if you won't? It comes when it comes, and soon you will see it face to face, and say the seer was all too true. You will be moved with pity. All right, so in that little part, what she's doing is she's actually having these visions of firstly, she kind of starts up with these like horrific visions of like people eating babies and all sorts of horror, right? And then she starts seeing, what's going to happen to Agamemnon. So that starts around 12:30. And she says, I tell you, someone plots revenge. Clytemnestra, she wants to avenge the death of her daughter. A lion who lacks a lion's heart. So she's talking about Agamemnon, and she thinks that he's kind of like, he thinks he's a lion, but actually he lacks the heart of a lion. He's not brave enough. Sprawled in his home in the royal lair, and it set a trap for the Lord on his return. The lion who lacks a lion's heart. Sorry, that isn't Agamemnon. That is Clytemnestra's lover, like the person that she's been cheating with while Agamemnon's been gone, Aegisthus. So yeah, that's the lion, who lacks the lion's heart. He sprawled at home in the royal lair, set a trap for the Lord on his return. Aegisthus and Clytemnestra have set this trap for him. And now she's talking about Agamemnon, and she says, he is so blind, so lost to that detestable hellhound who pricks her ears and fawns and her tongue draws out her glittering words of welcome. So she's talking about Clytemnestra there, and she's like, she's this snaky creature who's been kind of lying in wait for her prey. And kind of keeps describing her this way, and talks about how like it's unbelievable that the woman kills the man. Again, remember, we're talking about a very different time where women were considered, very differently to now. Very much less equal, but also kind of considered as like that women don't have the heart for murder and stuff like that. So all you female murderers out there, I mean, if only we were in Greek times, we would have got away with loads more. But yeah, at 2:41 it says, what outrage! A woman kills the man. Like that is such a sin against human nature, that a woman kills a man. Again, so you might want to kind of, highlight or underline that's a very interesting thing that, again, we'll come back to later. And so, yeah, Cassandra is horrified that, such such a horrific thing could happen, that a woman kills a man, much more a woman kills her own husband. Yeah. And then on page 153, at the top of that page, at 1250, she says, "Believe me if you will. What will it matter if you won't? It comes when it comes." So she's kind of like, look, you can believe me if you want. If you don't want to, I don't really care, because it's going to happen anyway. Again, fate. Okay. So yeah, she's kind of like, look, you're more than welcome to believe me, but I don't really care if you don't. And the lead, remembering that she's still talking to the chorus. So the leader then says, "Theseus feasts, the children's flesh, that I know, and the fear shudders through me." So he's listening to this story, and then he says, the bit about the eating the babies thing, that actually did happen here. You're seeing into our past, into our ancient past. That I know of. So I know that what you're saying, you're not making this stuff up. This is all stuff that's true. So, and he says, "I hear the rest, but it throws me off the scent," as in, like, I don't know if the rest of the stuff is true. And so again, she can't be believed. Cassandra says, "Agamemnon, you will see him dead." "Peace, poor girl, put those words to sleep," meaning like, hush, don't say such horrible things. Surely not. This will happen to, our king. "No use," as in there's no point me telling, no point me shutting up about this. The healer has no hand in this affair. "Not if it's true, but God forbid it is." Cassandra says, "You pray, they close in to kill," as in, like, your prayers are pointless. Like, it's going to happen, buddy. "What man prepares this dreadful man? You are lost to every word I've said." As in, like, why are you talking about a man? It's not a man, it's a woman. A woman's going to do this. As in Clytemnestra. "Yes, I don't care I don't see who can bring the evil off." She's pretty much told you, mate. Keep up. Am I right? But remember, it's that curse again. Don't curse. "And yet I know my Greek too well. So does Delphic oracle. So does the Delphic oracle. But he's hard to understand. As in, like, we've got our own oracle, and he's never mentioned this, but also we kind of find it hard to understand him because he kind of talks in circles. A bit like Cassandra. "His fire sears me, sweeps me," meaning Apollo. "His fire sears me, sweeps me again, the torture. Apollo, Lord of light, you burn, you blind me. Agony." So she's suffering. She's looking at all this horrible stuff, and she's feeling like pain inside her because she knows that this is going to be the end. And then she says, "She is the lioness. She rears on her hind legs. She beds with the wolf when her lion king goes ranging. She will kill me. Ah, the torture. She is mixing her drugs, adding a measure more of hate for me. She gloats as she whets the sword for him. He brought me home, and we will pay in carnage." So, again, she's talking about Clytemnestra. She is the lioness. The lioness is Clytemnestra. That she beds with the wolf when her lion king goes ranging. The wolf being Aegisthus. That, she's having sex with while her lion king, Agamemnon, is gone. She will kill me. Adding a measure more of hate for me. Because Clytemnestra hates Cassandra because she knows that Agamemnon has been basically living with her and having sex with her for these 10 years, and making her look the fool. So, she doesn't like Cassandra. Not that it's fair on Cassandra. Like, I don't think Cassandra chose to be Agamemnon's sex slave, but we're still blaming her anyway because, remember, Clytemnestra is just like a very angry person. Anyway, why mock yourselves with these? Why mock yourselves with these trappings, the rod, the god's wreath, the yoke around my throat? Before I die, I'll tread you. So she's like, oh, why do I have all these trappings, all of these pointless things? I don't need any of it. And so she rips off her regalia and she stamps it to the ground. So she rips off her royal robes and kind of stamps on them. And she's like, down, out, die, die. Now you're down. I've paid you back. Look for another victim. I am free at last. Make her rich in all your curse and doom. Now, she's actually there. She's not talking about Agamemnon and being free from Agamemnon. She's talking about being free from Apollo and the curse that Apollo has given her. And she says, that's it. I don't want any more of this. I don't want this gift anymore. Take it away from me. So she staggers backwards as if wrestling with a spirit, and she's tearing at her robes, trying to get this stupid gift from him out of her. She doesn't want it anymore. And she says, Apollo himself, his fiery hands, I feel him again. He's stripping off my robes, the seer's robes. And after he looked down and saw me mocked, even in his glories, mortified by friends I loved, they hated me. They were so blind to their own demise. I went from door to door. I was wild with the god. I heard them call me beggar, wretch, starved for bread in hell. I endured it all, and now he will now he will extort me as it is due. The seer for the seer. He brings me here to die like this, not serve at my father's altar. No, the block is waiting. The cleaver steams with my lifeblood, the first blood drawn for the king's last rites. Okay, so at the top of that page of 155, she's talking about how, she can feel that Apollo is trying to punish her and is, trying to rip the seer out of her, and she doesn't want it anymore either. And she talks about how the gift that she's got has been such a curse that all of her friends and people, are mortified by friends that I loved, as in her friends turned on her and they hated her, and they were so blind. She went to them when she knew that Troy was going to be destroyed. She went to them and they were blind to the fact that she was telling them that they needed to be careful, they needed to run. She went from door to door and begged them to listen to her, but they didn't listen, and so they died anyway. So she feels like this whole gift has really been a curse, because not only did it turn her away from people that loved her, but also when she could have used it to protect them, it didn't work anyway. So yeah. And then she regains her composure. She calms down a bit and she says, we will die, but not without some honor from the gods. There will come another to avenge us, born to kill his mother, born his father's champion, a wanderer, a fugitive driven off his native land. He will come home to cope the stones of hate that menace all he loves. The gods have sworn a monumental oath. As father lies upon the ground, he draws him home with power like a prayer. So there is worth underlining, where it says, there will come another to avenge us, born to kill his mother, born his father's champion, a wanderer, a fugitive, driven off his land. He will come home to cope the stones of hate that menace all he loves. That's worth underlining, because she's prophesizing. She's, saying that, yes, I know I'm going to die, but someone's going to come that's going to avenge our deaths, my death and Agamemnon's death. And it's going to be one of Clytemnestra's sons. And, one of Clytemnestra and Agamemnon's children, one of their sons will come back to avenge his death and avenge her death. And then she becomes kind of resigned to what's going to happen to her, and she says, "Then why so pitiful? Why so many tears? I have seen my city faring as she fared, and those who took her, judged by the gods, faring as they fare. I must be brave. It is my turn to die." So she becomes resigned, and she says, look, why am I so upset? I've seen everything I've loved burn to the ground. I have nothing left. I need to be brave, and die with dignity, which was something that was very important to the Greeks, that you died with dignity. You didn't die kind of screaming and frightened and whatever, that you needed to die with some sort of dignity. Okay, so we're going to leave it there. So that means we finish on page 156, around line 1314, so 1314. So we're going to stop there. So you know the drill. Flick over to class tasks and get those questions done. And I will see you next time. Bye. Bye.